श्रीवत्सवंशकलशोदधिकौस्तुभस्य श्रीवासराघवगुरोस्तनयं ततश्च विद्या अवाप्य विबुधोत्तमतां दधानं पूर्वे सदा हृदि गुरुं करुणाकराख्यं लक्ष्मीनाथसमारम्भां नाथयामुनमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्परां यो नित्यमच्युतपदाम्बुजयुग्मरुक्मव्यामोहतस्तदितराणि तृणाय मेने अस्मद्गुरोर्भगवतोऽस्य दयैकसिन्धोः रामानुजस्य चरणौ शरणं प्रपद्ये मातापिता युवतयस्तनया विभूतिः सर्वं यदेव नियमेन मदन्वयानाम् आद्यस्य नः कुलपतेर्वकुलाभिरामं श्रीमत्तदङ्घ्रियुगलं प्रणमामि मूर्ध्ना भूतं सरश्च महदाह्वय भट्टनाथ श्रीभक्तिसारकुलशेखरयोगिवाहान् भक्ताङ्घ्रिरेणुपरकालयतीन्द्रमिश्रान् श्रीमत्पराङ्कुशमुनिं प्रणतोऽस्मि नित्यं श्रीमान् वेङ्कटनाथार्यः कवितार्किककेसरी वेदान्ताचार्यवर्यो मे सन्निधत्तां सदा हृदि. We were discussing about the nature of the Jivatma. We said it is different from the body, yet anything and everything that is done by the Jivatma is done by using the body. There is no other way. The Jivatma is incapable of doing anything without having a usable body. Therefore, the extent of usability of the body is very important. When we say a body is usable, we imply three things. One is karma, one is jnana, and one is bhakti. The body needs to be used to perform actions. So all living things will perform some action or the other. Yet, only some of them would have the ability to actually think properly and understand concepts. The level of intelligence of different organisms is seen to be different. Now, what we say is even if you have intelligence, there is no guarantee that you would get the necessary knowledge. We have already seen before. You need to be sattvic, you need to have good prarabdha karma. There are already 6 qualities that we say that are necessary to get acharya sambandha. All of those are there. But a person with or without all of these qualifications still may or may not grasp the knowledge properly. There are shishyas of acharyas who may sometimes leave the path. They might be dharmic at first. Afterwards, they may leave the path. They may get into all sorts of harmful practices. They may smoke, they may drink, they may roam freely with people of the opposite gender. They may become slaves of the body. Where is this coming from? If the body has been given only so that you can get knowledge and you can improve and move closer towards Bhagavan, why is it that it is not seen to happen in every case? Let us forget the case where I am born as an insect or where I am born as a plant. I am born as a human being, an intelligent creature, and I have enough punya karma to get acharya sambandha. Even after that, if I fail, if I am not progressing spiritually. What is holding me back? That needs to be thought about. And it is important to understand that. So in Vishishtadvaita, the explanation is, of course, one's own past karma. One's own past karma prevents progress. How exactly does it prevent progress? My prarabdha punya gave me access to an acharya. But some amount of past sin is also there, which is opening up the path for me to become evil. And what am I doing now? With the amount of free will that has been granted to me by Bhagavan, I choose the wrong path. I take the wrong decision. Move away from dharma. This is a very bad thing to happen. But who is responsible for it? Only that Jivatma itself is responsible. So the body is meant to help the Jivatma proceed and go towards Bhagavan. But the Jivatma does not necessarily use the body properly. Most of us don't. Could we say that it is Bhagavan's fault for keeping the Jivatma in such a way? We cannot say so. He gave us free will. Out of great compassion, he gave us free will. We are misusing it. The example of rain falling on grass. Rain is responsible for the growth of grass and of different plants in the field. Although the rain is the same, you will see different plants sprouting. This is the example given by Shankara Bhagavad Pada in Advaita, and also Swami Vedanta Deshika in Vishishtadvaita, while explaining how Bhagavan is not to be held responsible for the shortcomings of the Jivatma. He is helping all of us. We are not grasping the support properly. Therefore, we get stuck to Prakrita Loka. And being stuck here, we commit mistake after mistake. So, how are we behaving? We think this is my body, my hand, my leg, and so on. In a way, this kind of feeling, this is mine, that is mine, thinking in this way about the body, it is given as a proof for the existence of atma. You know, you are not the body, therefore you think my hand, my leg, and so on. But is it a good thing? You are naturally feeling control over the body, that is okay. But if you start associating too much with the body, that is going in a bad direction. You should not identify your body as yourself. You are distinct from the body. And this Jivatma, how do you identify it? Can I say that my sense organs are only the Jivatma? No. How? Let us explain with an example. When you say, I am seeing now what was seen before, you are not really sensing anything. You are sensing something right now, but you sensed before as well. That past sense is not existing now. If you say, I am touching today what I have seen yesterday. Yesterday I saw a golden necklace. I thought I should buy it for my wife. Today I went and touched it. I went to the shop with money and I touched it. Yesterday I saw it. Today I am touching it. The senses are different, but there is a connection between yesterday's sight and today's touch. So this pratyabhignana of thinking, I am touching today what was seen by me before. This is showing that it is not the continuous use of the same sense in the same way, but some other connection between the senses that is driving me. So some people said, why not call it the mind? But the Shastras have declared otherwise. Mind exists only to support us. So when you think, how do you feel? I think with my mind. It is different from the Atma. Some people said, take pranavayu itself as the Atma. But prana is declared only to be a vayu vishesha. It is a specific type of vayu. Therefore, it does not have sentience and cannot be taken to be jivatma, whereas jivatma is by definition sentient. What causes sentience? Knowledge, right? So let us call knowledge itself as jivatma, some people say. But that is also not appropriate. Why? Because just like how you have jnana, you have ajnana. One who has jnana is called jnata. One who does not have jnana is called ajnata. So there is a knower who is different from the knowledge. When you say, I know or I learn, you are not knowledge that is learning the knowledge. You are different. You are not learning knowledge by while being that knowledge. That is not happening. So the knower is different from the known. Therefore, the jivatma is different from jnana. You are different from knowledge. We call atma as jnana swarupa, but that jnana is different. It should be kept in mind. So the schools of thought, there were many in the past. Some schools that rejected the Veda also floated the opinion that knowledge itself is the Atma. But in those schools, this knowledge would itself keep on getting destroyed and yet they would have to say that Atma is eternal. It would become very conflicting and contradictory. So, to some extent, we can understand how the Atma is different from everything else. For us to understand in the complete way, we need the help of the scriptures. When we take the help of the scriptures, we understand that Jivatma is Swayam Prakasha. That is declared by the Vedas. What is Swayam Prakasha? To know the Atma, you don't need some other knowledge. The existence of the Atma is enough for it to know the existence of the Atma. It is highlighting itself. Swayam Prakasha means it sheds light on itself. This atma, there is a question. Can we consider this to be pratyak? Now, what is the meaning of pratyak? Pratyak is the opposite of parak. But the logicians defined pratyak quality as the ability to get knowledge about oneself. So, we declare the jivatma to be pratyak. Now, this pratyak does not imply that it identifies itself with every other atma. Vishishtadvaita does not say there is a single atma. There are infinite jivas. So, when an individual jivatma thinks about itself, it tries to get knowledge about itself. It gets knowledge about itself. It is not able to get that kind of knowledge about others. You can read and get knowledge, that is a different thing. But by means of just existing, you are able to feel yourself. Are you able to feel the others? No, that is not possible. You could feel for them. You could imitate their feelings consciously, but you cannot feel them. The way they feel is different from the way you feel. The way a lion feels is different from the way I feel. The lion is also a jivatma in the body of a lion, but it is feeling very differently when compared to me. So, we should understand this difference. So, atma is the knower and the doer and the enjoyer. These things have to be understood by us. We said that the body is necessary for karma, jnana, and bhakti. Not necessarily referring to karma yoga, jnana yoga, and bhakti yoga. To perform any kind of action, to get any kind of knowledge, and to be able to show devotion and move towards Bhagavan, you need the human body or an advanced body like that of the human. So, as it accumulates knowledge, what is accumulating knowledge? Is it your body that is accumulating knowledge or the atma? We say it is the jivatma that is accumulating knowledge. The body is non-living. Therefore, the atma is jnata. It is the knower. The jivatma is karta. It controls the body and performs actions. So it is the doer. It is also the bhokta. It is the one that experiences. We experience pleasure, we experience pain. But what is experiencing? The body or the atma? It is the atma that is experiencing by means of the body. So, pleasure and pain do not exist for a dead body. They are defined only for living beings because it is the atma that experiences them. So, the atma is bhokta as well. In the Vedas, there is a famous verse that talks about bhokta bhogyam, and prerita. That prerita is Bhagavan, the supreme controller. In Bhagavad Gita, it appears that Bhagavan says Jivatma is not the karta. It appears as though he is saying, you are not the doer. Realize that you are not the doer, and so on. But those statements are to be understood by us properly. That is, Bhagavan implies that without the help of the physical body, without the indriyas, without the continuous support of Bhagavan, the Jivatma is incapable of doing anything. So in Bhagavad Gita, when Krishna says, you are not the doer, he implies that the Jivatma is not independently doing it. It is the doer, but it is able to do anything and everything only because of so many other factors, starting from Bhagavan himself. That is the teaching there. With the support of all of these, the Jivatma is able to perform whatever it performs. So, without all of these, without the body, without the indriyas, without Bhagavan, would anything be possible? Nothing would be possible. Then it will not be the doer. In that sense, we should understand the teaching in Bhagavad Gita. It has been declared in the Vedanta Sutras, Karta Shastra Arthavatvat. Jivatma is indeed Karta, the doer. Otherwise, the Shastras will not make sense. For the scriptures of Sanatana Dharma to make sense, we have to be the doer. If we are not doers, we will have nothing to do. Scriptures will say, do this, do that, do this, do that. Krishna will also say, you do Sharanagati. If you cannot do anything, then all the scripture will be useless for you. Therefore, you are the doer. You are capable of doing. Bhagavan, a question might arise here. Bhagavan is seen to be the cause of all. He is the cause of all actions, no? He says, you are incapable of doing anything without my support. Okay. Then, how do you know whether an action is done by Jivatma or Paramatma? Why don't you say everything is done by him? Nothing is done by Jivatma. The answer is that some amount of free will has been granted to the Jivatma. With that freedom, it is performing karmas. The karmas of the Jivatma are also contributing towards the exact action of the Jiva. Not just Bhagavan, not just the fact that Jivatma is inside a body. There is a contribution, just like how we are saying, there is a huge contribution from Bhagavan and other entities, because of which Jivatma is able to do any activity. We are saying that when that activity is done, it is not like the Jivatma has no role. It has some role. It can independently not perform, but while being dependent, it is performing. The Jivatma is the doer, therefore it does the action, it is performing. So it has its own karma. and proportional karma phala, which need to be understood by us. So we need to understand how it is working. In some schools, like the school of Bhaskaracharya, it was said that a single atma spreads out and becomes different in different bodies, thereby appearing to be many. This is an upadhi because different bodies are there. Therefore, it looks like there are different atmas. But this is refuted because the karma performed by different bodies is different. The jnana of different bodies is different. The karma phala associated with different bodies is different. Why are these different? Because different bodies correspond to different jivatma. That is why. So if it is a single atma, you will have to cancel the theory of karma altogether, the way Shankara Bhagavad Pada would eventually do in Advaita. Eventually, as in while explaining Advaita concept more and more, while going deeper and deeper into it. If you are going to believe in the concept of karma, then you will have to admit that there are many jivatmas. This has to be understood. The Vedas also declare the jivatma to be many. We have seen that, correct? Eko bahunam. Nityo nityanam chetanas chetananam eko bahunam. It has been said by the Veda. So, there is a differentiation. Yadava Prakasha, who had created his own school of philosophy, he had his own theory about Jivatma. He said, look at the Panchabhutas, specifically look at the Bhumi, because it will be easy to understand. What is it made up of? You cut again, you cut again. The smallest piece that you get will still be macro size. Assume it can be cut further and further and further. Eventually, you will reach a particle that is indivisible. This has been called as Paramanu. So, just like how very, very tiny fragments of Bhumi is called Paramanu. In the same way, very, very tiny fragments of Parabrahman could be called as the Jiva. Therefore, Yadava Prakasha said, Jivatma is just a tiny fragment of Paramatma. Therefore, Jivatma is infinite. They have different kinds of experiences and anything and everything. Yadava Prakasha had explained this way. The sutra Amsho Nana Vyapadeshat. But the word Amsha is not accepted that way in Vishishtadvaita. The thing is, if you say it is a part of Parabrahman, you are going to imply that it is Parabrahman. And if that is true, then the faults that are associated with Jivatma, Jivatma is just a fragment of Parabrahman, no? So you are saying Parabrahman is made up of infinite Jivatmas. But the Jivatma is flawed. It sometimes does Papa Karma, gets suffering. Will Parabrahman also get that suffering? No. Parabrahman, Paramatma, he is beyond all of these things. Therefore, as he is beyond all of these things, he says, right? Namam karmani limpanti. Name karma phale spruha. Bhagavan has said this in Gita. He is unaffected by karma. And for you to get out of karma also, you need to understand this nature of Bhagavan. So, if you are to say that Parabrahman is just a combination of an uncountable, huge number of Jivatman, then the problems associated with Jivatman would have to be considered for Parabrahman as well. But he has no problem. Therefore, this theory does not hold. Yadava Prakasha's view is incorrect. A refutation in detail in this regard could be seen in Sri Bhashya. So what is happening is the Jivatma is not one that is shared across many bodies. It is not a fragmental piece of Parabrahman. There is one other school that says you think they are different bodies, but in reality, there is only one Jivatma and only one Sharira. Which Sharira is that? I see infinite Shariras. I see my body. I see others also. You know, there was this viral video on social media. One small girl says, I see myself, I see myself, I see myself in the mirror. And then she goes on to say, you see yourself. She sees herself. Of course, she is identifying herself with the body, which is incorrect. But you see many bodies, do you or do you not? You see yourself, you see others. Now, this school says Jivatma exists only inside one body, but there are many bodies. Yes, there are many bodies, but they don't have the Jivatma. If you think they also have, it is incorrect. Like how, while you are dreaming, you might be dreaming alone, but in your dream, you might have an entire army in front of you, 1000 people. Does it mean that there are 1000 people in front of you? No. You are experiencing the presence of 1000 people, but as you are dreaming, there is nobody there. So let us understand it this way. Only one body has the Jivatma, the others don't have. And therefore, moksha is attained only by that one Jivatma. The others don't. Even this one Jivatma does not experience bandha and moksha in reality. They are also imaginations only. So the state of bandha in which the Jivatma currently is, and the state of moksha that it is supposed to achieve, even those are imaginary. In this way, there was a school explaining. So, this is also incorrect. Because if you say that there is only one Jivatma, then how is that Jivatma progressing spiritually? Who is this Jivatma learning from? Are you going to say that that Jivatma is teaching itself? No. You will say that he went to a Gurukula, there was a Guru, and that Guru was teaching. But according to you, the Guru of the Jivatma cannot be a Jivatma. So a non-sentient being, remember, the only sentient being here that is being discussed is the Jivatma. And there is only one Jivatma inside one body. All the other bodies lack Jivatma. This is the school. So that one Jivatma is the only knower, as the others do not have, other bodies do not have Jivatma, they don't have lives. How can non-living things give Upadesha and teach the Jivatma? If you say, no, nobody else is teaching, the Jivatma learns by itself, that is also incorrect. Because teaching is applicable only when a person who knows imparts knowledge to a person who does not know. Teaching is applicable only when a person who knows, a person who has knowledge, is imparting that knowledge to a person who lacks that knowledge. So, does the Jivatma have knowledge or not? If it does not have knowledge, it cannot teach itself. If it has knowledge also, it cannot teach itself because it already has knowledge. Therefore, the whole concept of Upadesha about Brahman gets invalidated. Furthermore, if you say this Jivatma is experiencing avidya, remember the concept of avidya is not restricted to the Advaita Vedanta of Shankara Bhagavad Pada. It is well spread out across many faiths, some of which still exist today, some of which do not exist, and so on. So, what if people questioned the Vishishtadvaita? Why should any Upadesha be necessary? Can it not know by itself without getting any Upadesha? The knowledge comes to the Jivatma by itself, and the Jivatma thinks it has obtained it through the Upadesha of a Guru. Why can't we argue that way? this question was answered as well. There were very, very great knowledgeable saints. For example, there was sage Shuka, who was the son of Vedavyasa. As the famous shloka goes, Vyasam Vasishthanaptaram Shaktehe Pautram Akalmasham Parasharatmajam Mande Shukatatam Taponidhim. Vyasa is the father of Shuka, the son of Parashara, the grandson of Shakti. Who was in turn a person who came from Vasishtha. So in that great clan of Vasishtha was born sage Shuka. We call Shuka as a Mahajnani. But they can be Mahajnani only if they know, as per this school, that you cannot attain any knowledge from anybody else. The Jivatma gets knowledge by itself. But we see two things. One is that by having this knowledge, they did not get moksha. The second thing is that they have not declared this anywhere. Even if they were to declare and we were to take it, the question of what our source of knowledge is would return. Therefore, it would be incorrect to say that the Jivatma learns by itself. Today, there is a variation of this particular opinion. Many people say, I will learn by myself. I will study all the scriptures and interpret them by myself. You don't teach me. I don't need any teacher. Nature is my teacher, some people say. Some other people say, I will study by myself. Some other people say, if we go to gurus, our knowledge will become biased. To have an open mind, we should learn by ourselves. Of course, remember, we are no longer talking about the concept of the atma and about the atma being the doer. We are talking about some modern people who reject Guru Parampara, who consistently say that knowledge coming from gurus would be biased. But in reality, knowledge coming from gurus would be authentic. Knowledge coming from gurus would be authentic. They would be that Sanatani knowledge which has been preserved since forever. They would be Sanatana Jnana. Whereas, when the individual tries to learn by himself or herself, the individual is also subject to all these kinds of biases, plus an additional problem of lack of in-depth knowledge. Therefore, the argument that we could get knowledge by ourselves and the argument that we should get knowledge by ourselves, both are faulty. Now, some people argued, why don't we take the Jivatma to be a reflection of Parabrahman on the Antahkarana. This view is also rejected in Vishishtadvaita, because if Jivatma is a reflection of Parabrahman through Antahkarana, then like how the reflection gets destroyed, reflections can get destroyed, right? Are you going to say that if the Antahkarana is removed, the Jivatma would get destroyed? I have a reflection that has been caused by glass. From some source object is there. Light from that source is hitting the glass and some reflection is forming, reflection of that source. In our example, that source is Brahman. That glass is Antahkarana. Now you think a little. If you remove the glass, would the reflection still exist? It would not exist. Therefore, in our case, are we going to believe that removal of Antahkarana is going to destroy the Jivatma? That is going to be very nonsensical. Furthermore, you have to get independent of your Antahkarana. So, this is very important for us to understand. They say in that school that the Jivatma does not get destroyed. The Vedas have declared that it cannot get destroyed. Najayate mriyateva. It has been said. It has been said in Bhagavad Gita as well. Therefore, they do not get destroyed, but they become one with Parabrahman. In that way, they have explained, which is problematic because reflections never become one with the source. Reflection is reflection. Source item is the source item. Reflection will never become one with the source item. That is a big problem. And furthermore, if there is a reflection, who is experiencing the reflection? That question will also come. Does reflection experience itself, or do reflections experience themselves? Reflections cannot experience because reflections lack sentience. So, it is impossible for us to argue that the Jivatma is just a reflection of the Antahkarana and that it would eventually attain oneness with Bhagavan. Reflection never gets oneness with the body it is associated with. Never happens that way. So with this, I would like to conclude today's lecture we are looking about the nature of the Jivatma. How exactly do we understand its difference from the body? How it interacts in Prakruta Loka? And how it gets jnana. Why? Because it has been said by the scriptures that jnana is necessary for moksha. We have to address that. So if any of you have any question, feel free to ask. I see there is already a message in the chat section, but it is not a question.
Swami, can you explain why Jivatma is not a doer exactly?
Jivatma is the doer. I did not say it is not the doer. It is the
Yes,
doer.
yes, it is the doer, but you also explain the part why it is not the doer. Like Bhagavan is supporting
It's
the
not the
Jivatma
independent doer. That's all.
independent. Yes. Without Bhagavan, it cannot do anything.
See,
Like any
I am scoring marks in an exam, but I am not scoring just by myself. I am scoring because my father went to do work. What does him going to do work have to do with me scoring marks? He went to do work, he earned money. With that money, he paid the school fees. With that school fees, I was sent to school. Therefore, I am dependent on my father. I am dependent on my mother because she fed me. If not for that, I would not even be alive to give the exam. I am dependent on my teacher because she gave me the knowledge with which I was able to write the exam. Can I say that I am independently the writer of the exam and that I independently deserve all the credit for the marks I obtain? I cannot. Without a person to feed me, without a person to pay the school fees, without a person to teach me, will I be able to write the exam and score? Therefore, I am not the doer. I am the doer only because all of these people have brought me to a position where I am capable of doing something. Is it clear?
Yes, Swami, one more question. You also gave a Purva Paksha that Bhagavan is cause of all actions. Then how do we know that who is performing the action, Jiva or Brahman? Can you please explain for
Sorry,
me?
sorry. Which Purva Paksha?
Like you gave a question now. Some people might question, how do we know that the action is performed by Jiva or Brahman? If
Yes.
Bhagavan is the, can you please explain the Uttara Paksha to that?
It's very simple. If you are saying that without your mother feeding you, it is impossible for you to score marks, will you then say that my mother has only given the exam and scored marks? You will not say. The Uttara Paksha is that in the context of doer, we are talking about the entity that performs karma and attains karma phala. It receives karma phala for these karmas. Some karma or the other it does. Maybe it is a spiritual karma, maybe it is going towards moksha, whatever it be. Our point is that it is capable of doing this only because Bhagavan has given it the opportunity. Giving the opportunity is different from actually doing. Just like feeding me is different from my mother feeding me in the morning, is different from me going to the school and writing the exam. So if they argue that you said it is not possible for you to score marks without your mother, does it not mean that your mother has only secured all of those marks? My mother might not even know the subject. I might have given an exam in physics in high school. My mother might have never studied physics while she had been in school. Can I say that my mother has got 100 marks in physics just because I went and scored? I cannot. So, enabling you to do an action is different from doing that action. You are the doer of that action. Bhagavan is the enabler for that. Is it clear?
Yes, Swami. Thank you.
I'm explaining with the help of an example. I have already told in previous classes, we don't establish in a formal debate by just giving examples like this, like that. You cannot give examples like that and escape. But the fact is, enabling is not necessarily the same as doing. That is all. My mother cooks food and I eat. Cooking and eating are not the same thing. She enables me to eat by giving me food. She is cooking and she is giving food. I'm only eating. Can you say that the mother is eating? Because if not for the mother, you will not be able to eat any food. You will not have any food to eat. Therefore, can you say that you are not the eater, the mother is the eater? That would be nonsense. If I eat, only my stomach will get filled. Her stomach will not get filled. Any other question?
Guruji, I have one question.
Yes.
Some animals were granted moksha. Can we say they have jnana?
Animals that were granted moksha either had jnana while being animals themselves. Like, for example, Indradyumna, who got cursed by Agastya and became an elephant. The elephant got moksha in a famous story that we celebrate as Gajendra Moksha. Indradyumna Pandya, even when he was an elephant, he had bhakti. He had that knowledge. It is very clearly explained in the Purana. Then there are some other animals which might not have that level of intelligence and knowledge, but would have already qualified for moksha in their previous lives, where they would have been very intelligent creatures. Due to some prarabdha papa, they would have had to take the form of an animal. Then there are some which are exceptional even in the species of the animals. Take the example of Jatayu. Jatayu is not an ordinary bird. Jatayu is very intelligent. It was a friend of Dasharatha. So, Jatayu is not an ordinary bird. Indradyumna was an elephant, but he still remembered the past. Then there are cases where in your Purva Janma itself, you had performed Sharanagati. You are supposed to get moksha, but some amount of karma is still left to burn. That karma is being burned by living the life of an animal. And at the appropriate time, Bhagavan comes and grants you moksha. That is also a possibility. Is it clear?
Yes, sir. Thank you very much.
Any other question?
Swami, this question might be repetitive, but I unable to understand. Some people say that Bhagavan is the ultimate doer. How do we understand it? Like, if we say Bhagavan is the
When
ultimate
you
doer,
say he is the ultimate doer, it means he is the ultimate enabler.
ultimate
That's,
enabler. Okay.
see, if I am doing something, it is because Bhagavan is helping me. My indriyas are helping me. Okay, why are my indriyas helping me? Because Bhagavan has enabled the indriyas to help me. Anything that supports me other than Bhagavan, what supports that? The supporter of anything and everything will ultimately be Bhagavan only.
Yes.
In
But
that
the
sense,
flaws
understand.
committed by any Jivatma using the Indriyas which were enabled by Bhagavan are not going to the fault of Bhagavan because he has just enabled the Indriya and Jivatma is he is allowed to use those indriyas for good karmas and bad karmas, right?
Correct. He has given free will. You choose what to do. You are doing some wrong thing. If you say Bhagavan is the ultimate doer, then he will also be the ultimate sinner, no?
Yes.
So ultimate doer simply means he is the creator, preserver, destroyer. He is the enabler of things. It does not mean that he is only doing the karma that you are doing. I will do some nonsensical karma. I will go to my neighbor's house, steal 1 lakh rupees. Then will I say Bhagavan has only stolen? Does not make sense.
Understood, Swami.
What kind of changes are there in a person who stops associating with the body? The person becomes enlightened. The person might appear to be mad, but due to disassociation with the body, the person starts gaining some saintly traits. Mere disassociation with the body is not enough to grant moksha. Disassociation with the body, however, is definitely an improvement. Such a person will be able to control the senses in a better way, control the body in a better way, be able to bear more problems than the others. What does Aham Brahmasmi mean? I will answer that in the next class. If you remember to question me in the next class, I will answer it. Aham Brahmasmi as per Vishishtadvaita. We have discussed it before, but we will discuss it again, no problem. Shastras do not say that everything is predetermined. Shastras do not say that everything is predetermined. Some things are predetermined, and there is some amount of free will. I did not decide in whose womb I should be born. I was born to my mother. I did not decide what kind of body I should get, but I got a human body. So some things are indeed predetermined. But is everything predetermined? No. That is why we said Karta Shastrarthavatvat, Jivatma is the doer. If everything is predetermined, we cannot call Jivatma as the doer. How to not associate with the body? First, learn that you are different from the body. Learn about how the body operates. Learn about Chit Achit Ishvara. Learn Artha Panchaka basically. Learn about Bhagavan. Learn how to attain Bhagavan. Learn about the blockers in the path. Blocker in the path will be, one major blocker will be identification with the body. So as part of that, learn how to disassociate from the body. How to remind yourself that you are not the body. So let's say my partner is already decided as per my destiny. Then why should I pray to God to get a good life? How do you know whether it is everything is already decided? That is the question. Maybe it is decided. Maybe it is not decided. How do you know? You do not know. Therefore, you cannot assume. Therefore, it is good to pray. Any other question? श्रीवत्सवं शक्लशोदधिकौस्तुभस्य श्रीवासराघवगुरोस्तम्यं ततश्च विद्यावाप्येभ्यो प्रमतां दधानं सदाहृदिगुरुं करुणाकरार्थं कवितार्क्यसिंहाय कल्याणगुणशालिने श्रीमते वेङ्कटेशाय वेदान्तगुरवे नमः. Thank you so much for attending.
Thank you very much, Guruji. Jai Shri Ram.
Jai Shri Ram.
Yes, sir. Audience.